Okay, this is melding both of my worlds together. You've got movies, you've got sports. For many of you guys that know, I have two YouTube channels. I have this one, and then I have a channel called The Recaps, where I break down, I recap television shows, and then I do movie reviews. It's the two things that I love more than anything, other than, like kids and ice cream. But those are my two hobbies. And it's pretty rare when you have a sports movie out. It's even more rare when you've got two sports movies out. And that's what we have going on right now, where you have him, and in about a week, you're going to have The Smashing Machine, the movie about Mark Kerr starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I don't know why I said Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I think if I just said Dwayne Johnson, hit thumbs down for that. That's embarrassing by me. He's always going to be The Rock to me. I saw both. I saw The Smashing Machines tonight. So let's talk about which one you should see. Should you see him? Should you see The Smashing Machine? Should you see both? Should you see none? All right, so we'll start off with him, the football movie, the one that's out right now. This one is a production from Jordan Peele, obviously the horror writer, and it's got horror tones to it. But essentially, the story is about the future of professional football. This kid's going to be the number one overall pick, and he suffers an attack where he is left with a severe head injury. I mean, he's got staples in his head and scaring teams off. He gets a chance to train with his idol, the greatest of all time, a guy who's won 9 championships, and this is Marlon Wayans' character, a guy named Isaiah White, and he gets to train with him because what this kid wants is to go to the team that Isaiah White plays for, a team called the Saviors. He wants to be the heir apparent. He wants to learn under this guy, and he thinks it's going to go a long way. If he trains with him and he passes the test, then the Saviors will end up taking him in the draft. So he takes the opportunity, obviously. He goes and he starts training, and he quickly realizes that Isaiah White's methods are bizarre. And it becomes a question of, like, how badly do you want to be great? With this movie, yeah, it sucked. It wasn't good. I thought Jamie, or not Jamie Foxx, I thought Marlon Wayans was great. Like, he was the only really good thing about it. But this movie is dripping with symbolism, and it's just shoved right in your face. And as a sports fan, the first third of the movie, they're explaining the NFL draft. And because you know ball, I mean, look, after my Jordan Davis take, I don't know if I know ball. But I know where the draft is. I know how the draft process works. I know that if you're the number one overall pick and you suffer an injury, you're still going to be drafted in the first round. There may not be like, this kid's going to go undrafted because of this head injury. And I'm sitting in the theater getting annoyed. Like, did the person that wrote this movie, did the director, clearly Jordan Peele didn't. Does anybody watch football? Does anybody follow the sport? Because this idea that he was going to be the number one overall pick, and he is like, this isn't a bad draft year. Like, this is supposed to be the future. The idea that he's going to drop in the draft to undrafted, absurd. So I was getting pissed off because I'm like, man, non-ball knowers wrote this movie. But I think this movie's banking on the Jordan Peele angle, and they want so badly to confuse the public to thinking that it's a Jordan Peele movie, when in reality, it's just made by his production company, and he is a producer. But it sucked. The end of it is completely absurdly ridiculous. It's not a horror movie. I thought Us was one of the best movies and the most creative horror movies ever. Obviously, his first one that I'm drawing a blank on, that put him on the map. I forget. I really forget. Hit thumbs down again for this. Like, it's late. It's like 2 a.m. right now as I record this. But that one that everybody was like loving, like, that was awesome. I thought Nope was trash, and this was like Nope level. But I think that Jordan Peele, like, you get the sense of, like, you know what a Jordan Peele movie is. This movie in him was as if 3 guys got together and were like, yo, let's write a Jordan Peele movie. That's what it's not good. Not only should you not spend your money on it, you should not see it. There's very little football in it. So, you're not getting that aspect of it. And I can't believe I'm saying this. And this movie's a guilty pleasure for people. Like, Draft Day was a much better football movie, and even that movie is absurdly stupid. But it's, as I said, it's guilty pleasure. But if you're looking for a football horror movie, guess what? You got bait and switch, because that's not it. I mean, it's gory at times, but at no point was I like, oh my God, this is shocking. They tried a few times, trash. All right, let's move on to the Smashing Machine, though. Maybe that this can bring it all back. I am somebody that many of you guys know. Like, I watch MMA religiously. Pretty much every week I'm watching the UFC card. I try very hard to become a quasi-historian, or at least like have an appreciation for the past. So I was excited for this movie to come out because I don't think a lot of people know who Mark Kerr is. But The Rock, Benny Safdie, A24, like a lot of things could go right, but also a lot of things could go wrong with this because I don't think that any of those combined, I don't think that they're Teflon. And I know a lot of people will just fangirl all over anything A24. If you like IPAs, have a mustache, and like to go thrifting, you probably love A24. Some of their stuff sucks, though. And with this movie, as a diehard UFC fan, if you are one of those, if you are somebody that likes sports movies, if you are somebody that is really dialed into the world of MMA, you probably will enjoy this because there were plenty of times where I'm like, the Leonardo DiCaprio gif pointing like, oh, look, it's Ryan Bader. And by the way, Ryan Bader was really, really good in this as Mark Coleman. Not overly surprised, though, because Ryan Bader's probably playing Ryan Bader, just with a different name. He's one of the best UFC heavyweights, and he's playing a pioneer of the sport in Mark Coleman. So it wasn't too much of a stretch for him, I imagine. I don't think he's going to, transition this to doing, a period piece. But as for The Rock, though, I mean, for most of the movie, I was like, damn, like, he doesn't look like The Rock. The makeup department did a really good job, and I thought he was doing a really good job. There is one scene in the third act with him and Emily Blunt where they're kind of arguing in their house and things get really contentious, where it's like all of a sudden I just sat there and I went, oh, the makeup department didn't show up, because all of a sudden The Rock was on screen, and then the next part of the movie it's like, oh, we're back to Mark Kerr. Essentially, though, it's a biopic. That's what it is. It's not an MMA movie. If you want an MMA movie, go watch Warrior, which is a great movie, by the way. But this is a biopic, and it's a lot of just story, backstory, what the guy was going through, with a little bit of MMA sprinkled in there. The one thing that I did not like as a nerd was Mark Kerr fights primarily in this movie in Pride, which was an MMA organization in Japan. At the time, Pride was the number one MMA organization. That's where everyone was making their money. Oh, well, why were they making all their money in Pride? That's because it was run by the Yakuza. Yeah, it was run by the Japanese mafia. It's well documented, well reported. And there's a scene in this movie where they could easily do a quick mention of this. It's Mark Kerr doing a negotiation for a new contract with Pride, and it's like 4 minutes. And they throw it in there, but it's not exactly like it's necessary. And at one point, the guy goes, like, I got to go talk to my bosses upstairs about this. He's talking about the Yakuza. I wish Mark Kerr in the movie, I wish the writers and Benny Safdie, somebody on the set would have said, yo, we should probably have Mark Kerr and Mark Coleman just mention real quick, I know they got the money, it's run by the Yakuza, because, as I said, that whole backstory is fascinating. I would love a movie on Pride. The other thing that I didn't really like about it was they touch in the second act a lot on his addiction. And they hint at least that he's addicted to steroids. But it's like 0 to 100. There's no lead up to it. It's like, all right, he's fighting. Oh, he's injecting steroids. Oh, look, it says on the bottle, they're addictive. All of a sudden, Emily Blunt says he's acting funny. Now he's in... Like, that to me was really, really rushed. But speaking of Emily Blunt, like, this is a movie where I don't know what was going on when she was on screen because I was staring. If you're an Emily Blunt fan, this is the hottest she's ever looked. She was also really good in it, for the record. She was very, very good. I think if you're a fan, though, of biopics, you'll like it. I think there's going to be a lot of people that go into this expecting a sports movie, and they're going to be bored out of their mind. So if you don't like biopics, just a heads up. You're probably not going to like this movie. If you don't like MMA and you don't like biopics, just skip it entirely. However, I enjoyed it. I liked the little nod to, as I said, like noticing guys in there. That was cool. But as far as the sports angle of it, like, they didn't really have a ton of it. So in closing, I would say go see The Smashing Machine. It's worth watching. Save yourself the 90 minutes and never see him. Him is 90 minutes and an hour in. I was like, we can wrap this up, please God. The Smashing Machine was worth watching. I do feel like there's probably a few other MMA storylines that should have been covered other than Mark Kerr. But that's like neither here nor there. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, his story wasn't shocking or unique. So I'm kind of curious as to why Benny Safdie and The Rock picked him of all people, because I do think Pride would have been a much better storyline, a much more interesting storyline. But like that's really nitpicking. It was a good movie. It was well made. It looked like a Benny Safdie movie or Safdie Brothers movie. It's worth watching. It's worth your time. That's a part of the video. I ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel. Hit thumbs up if you like this. Smash that thumbs down button. You probably already have. But subscribing is the most important because I need subscribers. I desperately need subscribers. And once I hit 1,000 subscribers, as I said, like I'll stop begging. All right, I'll stop pouring out for subscribers. But thumbs up, thumbs down, comment, whatever you guys want. And then if you end up seeing either of these movies, let me know what you think. I will leave.